Welcome back to another episode of Sibling Showdown, the Best Ball Edition and the Live Draft Edition. As you know, each week we are doing live drafts on either Underdog, DraftKings, or Drafters. And this week we are going to draft another Underdog Puppy. So thank you so much for joining us. I am Meg. You can find me on Twitter at Megs08. DFS. And I'm, of course, joined by my brother, Steve. You can follow him at SteveOSpeaks. Steve, how are you doing today? And are you ready to draft yet another puppy?
Yeah, looking forward to another underdog draft for sure.
Absolutely. Be sure to, like this episode before we get started and subscribe to the FanSpeak Network because we are going to be churning out best ball content each and every week with strategy shows and live drafts every single week. So it'll be fun, actually, Steve, to look back, when the best ball season's said and done. One of our live drafts we did last year did really, really well, almost got to the final. So can't wait to see how these things do. And I'm looking forward to doing another one with you. Also, I want to mention, we also crank out content on fanspeak.com. We've done a lot of interesting articles recently. Steve's looked at play caller changes for the NFC, AFC. I've looked at some like undervalued offenses or offenses that could be on the rise that we want to take advantage of because, as we've talked about in these shows, we want to target top offenses. So be sure to check out our articles on fanspeak.com. All right. With that said, let's go over to Underdog and let's get into a puppy draft. So obviously I'm going to get in, 30 seconds. And we're jumping in. We'll wait for it to fill and, of course, see what pick number we have to, kind of make our strategy decisions from there. So we are still waiting for 9 people. While we're talking about that, Steve, obviously the big news today is that Dalvin Cook has been released from the Vikings. Correct me if I'm wrong on any details. Hasn't signed, obviously will be a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Alexander Madison was already starting to get steamed up because people kind of knew it was coming or thought it was coming. So he's already, before I could start grabbing enough shares, I grabbed a few. He was already kind of getting pushed up the draft board. I guess 2 quick questions before we get started. Where do you think Madison will land? I'll ask you that question first. Where do you think Madison will land as far as ADP? And, where do you feel like it's a good spot to buy? And where do you think it might be reaching?
Yeah, I mean, right now he's already moved up to RB22, and that's been like last couple of weeks.
We're pick 9, so we have a couple.
I think he'll move up a spot or 2 more, but I don't see it much more beyond that. And honestly, I don't know if it should. I mean, I think even right now you're talking about guys like Cam Akers, Pacheco, James Conner, Montgomery, all behind him, and those might all end up being better plays. The one thing we'll have to see is if Minnesota feels that they still add a veteran.
That's the only thing I'm concerned about is like, what if they added a Zeke, just like, or Fournette or something like that. It's like you trade like one situation for another, but you'd get those guys cheaper. They could do that, So yeah, I might wait on Madison shares because like you said, I don't think, it's not like we're getting value now. I think if anything, he could go back down if one of those situations happen. Maybe then you take him at the more value than he is now.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'll jump in to discuss this. We got the 9th pick. The draft is currently starting. So at that 9th pick, I kind of know what's going to be there. Or we obviously know Jefferson, Chase, Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill are all going to be gone. The 3 receivers have already gone. In this range, I kind of lean towards, let me pull up the top, one of these top receivers, Kelsey, if he's still there, though we've grabbed plenty of Kelsey shares on this show. I've done some Eckler, Bijan Robinson. I think you have a lot of options you can go with the 9th position. What do you typically like to do? And then we can kind of prep for the pick.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like, Diggs or AJ Brown there. I mean, Diggs has, just the most incredible target share of the last 3 years with Josh Allen. No reason to see that changes.
He just went. Okay, we are up in 2. So
I mean, AJ Brown, I think would be the number 1 guy, and then
I don't have any Lamb shares. I'm going to take Lamb if he's not. Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I still have time to get Lamb shares. So you'd go AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. then we will grab that.
And that could set us up to take Hurts on the comeback. I know quarterbacks are falling, but getting that premier stack is obviously can
I was
be
gonna
worth
say
it.
that's the only thing. I've been like leaning into the fact that quarterbacks are now falling to the third round, but I don't think at the ninth spot there's no way I'd be able to get Hurts on the comeback.
It's like early
I
third
just
round.
but do you think it's just giving up so much equity to be taken because our next pick is 16? That just feels like a way too high. I don't know that I'm comfortable reaching that high.
The thing with it is quarterbacks are the highest scoring position. So if you're going to reach for anything, it's far better to reach for a top quarterback than say a receiver or something like that.
Right.
But no, I mean I do like. There's a lot of receivers who could be there. Obviously, a couple running backs.
I think it depends. It depends who. One build we haven't done on this show, Steve, is a 0 RB on Underdog, and I think you can do. I see people do 0 RB, in my opinion, not the best way, efficient way possible. I would love to try to at this nice spot. I think it could really do a 0 RB, and then get a hero QB, whether it is Hurts or somebody else. And then do 0 RB the way we think is best. Let's see what lands here with receivers, and then if it's someone we feel like we can't pass up, we could take it. If not, then we could go ahead and like you said, go ahead and complete that Hurts stack, even though it is going early. It's to complete a Hurts AJ Brown stack, which is in theory worth it. So the receivers left on the board are obviously Waddle, Olave, Smith. I know some people try to take Smith, but you're not going to get Hurts on the way back, just to be clear. So like, I know Hayden Wink's article talked about, it's nuts that Smith's going above Hurts, to be quite honest. Yeah. So let's go Hurts here. I agree with you. Get that stack. And then now so now we kind of know what we're going to do. We're going to do kind of a 0 RB build, but in our opinion, the right way of doing a 0 RB build, not waiting too long. There's some good content on Underdog Network about the right way to do it that Hayden Winks has covered. And then we've got a hero QB, which helps, I think, then be able to load up on running back later because we've already, established a hero QB. So obviously, let's queue up. If you're not familiar with 0 RB, you can basically devote your first, at least 4 or 5 picks to, receivers and quarterback, tight end. And I like to try to still grab a running back, by the 5th round, 6th round at the latest. And I think that's what data kind of shows too. If you wait past the 6th round, it gets a little dicey. So, but I do think we can start, queuing up running backs. We could take a look at the board. We could start queuing up running backs receivers for the way back in this 0 RB build. We'd have pick 33 and then coming back pick number 40. So, I know in that 40 range, there's multiple receivers I love. I have to go back over and let's start queuing here. I mean, these guys are going to be gone, so there's honestly no use in queuing them. But I'd say starting at Calvin Ridley could potentially still be there. Really, all these guys are viable, right?
Yeah, Ridley, Debo, Cooper, those would be my top choices.
Yeah, and then I'd say on the way back, it would be kind of one of the Chargers guys, London or Terry McLaurin.
I also think Jerry Jeudy. I think
you do. Okay, I'm very bullish on Denver too. You just wrote an article about AFC play caller changes, and obviously Sean Payton, being the play caller, that's a hell of an upgrade from what they were dealing with last year. So I'm very bullish on Sean Payton and the Broncos this year, and I know you are too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just real quick, from 2006 when he got the job to 2020, he was suspended the 1 year in between, but they never had an offense that finished below 12th in either scoring or yards. And 9 or 10 of those years were top 5 in those categories, and some of those didn't even correlate, where he was maybe 9th in one, but 4th in the other. So, there's just so much offensive production from his offenses, and I don't see why that would change, with Russ and these types of weapons. And the offensive line, they heavily invest in the offensive line, and arguably got the 2 best offensive linemen this offseason. So, yeah, I really like this offense.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. And I don't have many Jerry Jeudy shares yet. It's early still. So, but you start to think about, okay, I do want to get exposure to him or exposure to this offense. Looks like we have a selection of, the top three, depending on who the person before us takes. But who would you take out of Ridley, Samuel, Cooper, Steve?
Probably in that order.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, and they went running back, which I do think running backs are excellent picks in this area of the second and third round. But let's go ahead and take Calvin Ridley. Doesn't conflict on a bye week either, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just use our board, and then we can make our decision, because we're back up in 6 picks coming back. Let's see. I'd say let's kind of stick with the 0 RB build here, just to kind of, it's, I think, a good experiment, and then obviously helps diversify your portfolio, because we've done a lot of hero RB or double hero RB builds on here. We've done some with I believe Kelsey and Mahomes, doing that hero QB tight end situation. But it's good to diversify your portfolio so we can get access to the 0 RB build and construction. So after our Ridley pick, it went Cooper, Mark Andrews, Deebo Samuel. So they're off their board. We still are 2 picks away. Kittle just went. So we still have 5 receivers that we had queued up. I'm comfortable, honestly, with any of these 5. I like all of them. It really depends if we want to get access to, the Chargers, or if you'd rather take Jerry Jeudy. I love London and McLaurin in this area range as well. So I'm kind of, honestly, you could pick any of these 5 and I'd be happy. So we are on the clock. Who do you lean towards?
I would take one of the Chargers guys. I think that's just another offense that could be
we're both so bullish on the Chargers. So do you lean? I know I have a lot of Mike Williams. Do you have a preference? 10 seconds left.
No, honestly, I think they're pretty even. So
okay, I have a lot of Mike Williams. I'm going to just diversify. Which I have a lot of Mike Williams because I love the Chargers. So that means I also love Keenan Allen. Okay, so to start, while we have a little break here, we have 1 quarterback and 3 receivers with this 0 RB build, getting Jalen Hurts stacked with AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, no bye week conflicts. So that's very nice. And now let's take a quick look at the board, and then we can start deciding, when we may want to go back and get our first running back, which is key to the 0 RB strategy. The 0 RB strategy means you still want to get starting running backs. And there's been some good, again, articles written by Hayden Winks as to when you should get that first one. And I think it's around round 5 or 6. So we'll kind of queue up picks in that area. That would be pick 57 in round 5, pick 64 in round 6. As we can see the board play out, Mike Williams did go shortly after, and Jerry Jeudy shortly after that. Okay, so let's take a look at the board here and see who might be in that range, for pick 57 and 64. If we were starting to look at running backs, there's an off chance that Kenneth Walker could fall. I don't think he will, but I'm still going to queue him. Who else at the running back position in case,
I think Joe Mixon.
Yes, I would agree.
And
Dobbins. Yeah. And then I honestly like the guy, if we decided to wait another round for whatever reason, Miles Sanders and Dameon Pierce are 2 excellent ones that, they both are the starting running backs on their team with not much competition behind them. So, I love all the guys, honestly, that we queued up. So it's just a kind of a matter at this point of value and who else we see. Just looking at the other positions, obviously, because we took Hurts so early, we're not going to take another quarterback for a while. I don't think there's any of these, unless one of these receivers really, really fell. I don't know that I'd really feel the need to gravitate towards them. I think we started off with 3 kind of home run receivers. So I don't know that any of these stand out to me that I have to have over these running backs.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. And then moving over to the tight end position, obviously you do have TJ Hawkinson, who has already fallen at this point. Kyle Pitts, in that range. That's really it that you would even consider with these 2 picks. And I mean, unless TJ Hawkinson falls all the way to, 57, that would be the only one I would consider. Though, if Kenneth Walker falls, I'm running to click that.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally taking a running back first and then coming back, there looks like there's going to be receivers, guys like Lockett, Addison, etc.
Yeah, right.
So, we could lock up our first back, our fourth receiver, and
then move on. Yeah, I'm fine doing that too. Why do you think Hawkinson has fallen, just out of curiosity?
I think just in general, tight ends should fall. There should be a much bigger gap from Kelsey to the next, and then it should be Andrews, and then kind of Hawkinson, Kittle, Pitts, right. But just a bigger gap. The receivers and running backs taken in the first 5 rounds are just going to dust all these tight ends not named Kelsey.
Right. I agree. Okay, so we're up in 2 picks, and Lockett just went, okay, R. Martin, don't take Kenneth Walker, and I will take him. And he didn't. So, Kenneth Walker, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thrilled. Wow, to get Kenneth Walker in the late fifth round is a steal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know we're doing a 0 RB build, but in 6 picks, if one of these guys was still here, would you take one of them, or I have to agree that. Yeah, I mean, don't mind.
When's our next pick after this?
We're up in 5.
No, after the.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, good call. Let me look at the board really quick. So we just picked Walker 57. We're up at 64, and then after that, it's 81 and 88. I will say, just to speak to pacing, I just did a short video on Run Pure Sports about this. Again, Hayden Winks has talked about pacing, and some other analysts have talked about pacing. I think as long as you can do any build you want, 0 RB, hero RB, double hero RB, hero QB, whatever you want, as long as you're getting kind of keeping, again, not gospel, but a guide, one receiver in the first 3 rounds, 3 receivers in the first 6, 4 in the first 8, 5 in the first 10. I think then it keeps you from being in that wide receiver dead zone. So as long as they're keeping this pacing, and we clearly have 3 receivers in the top 6 because we grabbed 3 in the top 4. So I think we could go either way here. Mm-hmm. But if we did that, then I'd want to go back to receiver, I would say, with pick 80 or whatever, because then you're getting dangerously close to where it starts to thin out. So I'd probably want to go back-to-back receiver there. So it's really Marquise Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Deontay Johnson. I know you and I both like them. We are on the clock. They did take Dobbins. So would you go Miles Sanders, Dameon Pierce, or would you go Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison?
I mean,
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah. Let's lean into the 0 RB. I'm fine with any of those 3 receivers.
Okay. 9 seconds left. Any
Deontay Johnson, separate buy, just to give us more optionality later on.
Okay.
Because we could even go only 6 receivers, especially with 4 different buys and 4 this early. So
right. Okay. Yeah. We leaned into the 0 RB. We have 1 quarterback, Hurts, stacked with AJ Brown, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, really targeting some top offenses that I like this year. Kenneth Walker fell to the 5th round. Love it. And I think, again, we're up again at pick number 81 and 88 in the 7th and 8th round. So I think it just gives us some options here. If we wanted, I think it wouldn't hurt to grab 1 receiver there just to keep the pacing. But then, I definitely think we could look to grab a running back in that range, because there's still some good running backs in that range. We have, Madison, if we wanted to, Akers, Pacheco, James Conner, David Montgomery, who I love. So, those are just to name a few of the ones that we'd be interested in.
Potentially we could grab 2 there even, but especially if one of those higher guys falls and then come back and get a Conner or Montgomery,
Yeah. And then, because I'm trying to think, that would take us, let me just look at the board real quick to get perspective. So that'd be 7, 8. Yeah. Then we could grab our 5th receiver, round 9. Cause again, after that, I said 5 receivers by round 10, but honestly round 9, 10, depending where you're at, it starts to thin out. And so we could grab that 5th, really strong receiver, especially if we did only want to do 6 receivers. We could grab that 5th, really strong receiver that we're really confident in. in round 9 at that pick 1, that would be pick 105. So I'm just curious what range that leaves us. I mean, I will say there are some receivers that I do really like if they were to fall, but I don't think they're going to fall, like Jahan Dotson, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks just went, Rashad Bateman. But those are just ones I like in this general area. So that's who's on the board now. Is who's left on the receiver board is Jahan, of ones that we liked, Jahan Dotson, Rashad Bateman. But we do still have some of these, really, I'm shocked that Miles Sanders is still there. Aren't you? Dotson just went, and Bateman. Yeah. So people like what we like. We've got good taste. I'm shocked that, Sanders is now 20 picks past his ADP and he just went. So
I can't believe Pickens is still on the board.
Yeah. I mean,
and we just took Deontay Johnson. So
I don't mind going Pickens for that value.
But you do have Pacheco there, and that's a top offense to.
I know, but I'd be fine with him or Connor. We can get Pickett, and he's our second guy.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. I like it. We kind of made a pivot there from our original plan, but I think one of these 3 guys is going to be here with the next pick, and then we've got to go, heavy on running backs.
Yeah.
I really hope one of these guys. Okay, so there's 5 picks away. We still have Pacheco, Connor, and David Montgomery queued. If one of these guys can be our second running back, I will feel very, very comfortable. Thankfully, people are still, grabbing receivers at an alarming rate. So hopefully one of these guys falls. And none of them, 10, 14, 9, conflict with Kenneth Walker, which is nice. Yeah. Someone just went Kamara. We do not know what's happening there, correct? As far as suspension?
No, not yet. And honestly,
go ahead. Yeah.
Even if he's not suspended or it's only like a 2-game suspension, they now brought in 2 other backs.
Yeah.
So, it's no longer necessarily the role that he had the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. So rank Pacheco, Connor, Montgomery 2 picks away.
Honestly, I'd probably put Connor first.
Well, you mentioned Pacheco. I would rather grab the top offense, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a pick of any of them. So because you wanted
look
Pacheco.
At what Connor did. It's just Connor is no competition, and end of the year with the worst.
Okay. The only thing I'll say is, Pacheco will be in position to score a lot. Will Connor be in position to score very often?
Yeah, just based on what he did last year at the end of the year with no quarterback play, he was like a top 10 running back in the final 8 games or something like that.
Okay. Usually on Underdog, I truly lean into just kind of avoiding the teams like Arizona. And I know that sounds bad, but just because, we are truly touchdown hunting here.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But I get your point. You're saying when Arizona still had the very bad quarterback play they did at the end of last season, you're saying he still was a top 10 running back.
Yeah, he's very good down the stretch.
Okay.
So, I like Pacheco, but there are, just some reports that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not totally out of the race, and, could be kind of a split backfield within McKinnon is a third down guy. So it could be like a 3-man field.
No, I do like those backfields where it's either really there. That's why I couldn't believe Sanders fell so much. Damian Pierce, Sanders later, Connor here, early, of course, you have Nick Chubb and Ramondre Stevenson, those guys that just don't have a lot of competition for touches. I just love those situations. So very happy with our situation. So we are through, let's take a look at the board. We are through 8 rounds of our picks. And through those 8 rounds, we obviously kept wide receiver pacing. We got 1, 2 in the first 3, 3 in the first, we're doing a 0 RB build, 3 in the first 4, 4 in the first 6, and 5 in the first 8. So definitely at 5, well before the kind of, in my opinion, wide receiver dead zone. So I do think now we can devote resources to, if we, with our situation, we definitely are going to want to keep an eye on Kenny Pickett as our backup quarterback because we double stacked him, and I just would like that correlation there. So I don't think that means we don't at this point need to look at quarterback. What about tight end? Do you want to look at tight end, or do you want to just really focus on hammering running back?
I'd get another running back. I think there's
I just want to take a peek.
Clear starters.
I do think while there's clear starters, let's go ahead and queue them up. We're still 5 picks away. But I mean, I'm not as high on P. Ryan just because I think a veteran could come in. Who knows when Javonte Williams comes back? I'd rather go like Dylan Robinson. What are your takes on this range?
Yeah, I think Penny is also worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it stacks with our quarterback too. I would much rather honestly take the discount and just stack up Gainwell later with Hurts. Just because I think, oh my gosh, they had so much trust in Kenny Gainwell in the Super Bowl, in the playoff run in Super Bowl. I know, Penny and Swift are going to have a role, but I just can't imagine that Gainwell goes to a nothing role, I guess.
Yeah, I just wonder if Penny becomes their touchdown guy, because that was Sanders last year.
That's true. Okay, well, pick 105, which is coming up. This is the whole board. This is who we have queued up. Who do you want to take the correlation with Penny? Would you rather grab like Dylan?
I'd take Dylan here if he's there, and then
again, we still have other options for correlation because I do love correlating the running back. So let's grab AJ Dillon here, just a better, I think, role on a team, and then we kind of need that in a 0 RB build. And I think we can still grab correlation with Jalen Hurts later, which I love grabbing the running back correlation later, can kind of help you ping pong through playoffs in certain ways. And so I'm going to just cue him for later, but love
we're also up in 5 picks, so we might be able to get Penny there.
Oh, that's right. Thank you very much. I apologize for that. So yeah, as we said, we wanted to kind of hammer the catching up on the running back position, so to speak. And I think we have 4 queued up that are fabulous 4th running backs. So considering we're doing a 0 RB build, I think we're doing it in a pretty damn effective way. I'd be happy with any of these 4, which, by the way, if you can't see it, it's Damian Harris, Antonio Gibson, Rashad Penny, and Gainwell's later. So yeah, I say let's grab the correlation with Penny if he's there. If not, who would you take between Damian Harris and Gibson?
Harris would be a different buy, but I do like Gibson.
Okay, we're up, and we can grab the correlation with Rashad Penny. Like you said, he could fill that Miles Sanders role, touchdown role. And I don't really have much of any Penny yet, so I like getting exposure there. Wow, I'm really liking how this is shaping up. 15 picks away, and 9 picks through. 10 picks through the draft. We have 1 quarterback, 4 running backs, 5 receivers, and we did that even in a 0 RB build. We did not take our first running back. Let's pull up the board. We did not take our first running back until round 5 with Kenneth Walker, and then waited and then hammered the running back position in round 8, 9, and 10. And so, we were able to then hammer the receiver position early, get a hero quarterback. I love this build, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll have to decide, are we only going 2 quarterback with this? Are we going to do 3? Right. Are we going to do 3 tight end or 2? Because I think even though we've done well to catch up at running back, you still probably want 6.
Right.
And so if you're doing 6 receivers, then you can do 3 and 3 at the quarterback and tight end.
Yeah,
if you go 7 receivers, then you have to do 2 at one of those.
Right. Well, I definitely think we're going to need 3 at the tight end because, we've now waited to the 11th round to even consider it. So we should probably start looking there 9 picks away I think Dalton Schultz is an excellent just tight end in this area. I just want to see the pick numbers we're coming up at. And it is pick 129 and 136. So let's see. If we did want to target tight end here, Dalton Schultz stands out to me a ton at 136, maybe like a Greg Dulcich as like our first tight end. Any thoughts there as I have tight end pulled up?
Yeah, no, I think those 2 and then Higbee as well are the guys. Higbee kind of in the comeback spot. But yeah, those would be the ones that I would look at.
This is the receiver dead zone outside of like Gallup or, I don't know what they're saying about Rashid Rice. You could take shots on Mingo, Rashid Rice in a high powered offense. If he does like carve out a role, he could, end up going higher. I love Gallup just on the Dallas offense, Nico Collins, but like, this is why I like having receivers already, because I don't feel like I have to grab here. So go ahead.
Could I look at the receivers that we have right now?
Oh, yes. Sorry. So A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. So we do have two from the same team. So are there any you'd like to queue up? We've talked about, the ones I just mentioned, the ones we like Gallup.
Yeah.
I know you like Nico Collins a lot, though. I don't really care to.
So one
up
thing
in one, just go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I'd say is if you take either Gallup or Nico Collins, then you can stop at 6 receivers, and you'd have at least 5.
Yeah.
Or you'd have, you'd have 4 for the week 6, and then you'd have at least 5 for every other week.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that just so that we could always go 7 if there's some receiver that we love or correlates, but we don't have to. Then would you go Gallup or Collins? I have a lot of both.
I'd go Gallup.
Yeah, I lean towards the offense, the better offense always. So we are going with Michael Gallup, who I have a lot of, and I love having a lot of because I'm very bullish on the Dallas offense. Feels gross to say as a Washington fan, but it's true. Okay, so we're up again in 5 picks. There, would you say maybe we grab our first tight end, especially if Schultz or Dulcich is still there?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Then we kind of know what we're doing there. And I think, like you said, we've put ourselves in a great position that we're just not forced to take anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we have options.
Yeah, 100%.
Just want to see what running backs are available. Yeah, there's none that like scream anything to me here. I'd rather grab our first tight end. So Schultz did just go. We're up in 3. Hopefully, I'd love if Dulcich was still there. We talked about Jerry Jeudy. We weren't able to get him because we took Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But love that Denver offense. So if Dulcich is still there, which hopefully he is, we will race to click that. Okay, so after Beast 13 makes his pick, if he is not there, I guess we do need a pivot.
I do Higbee. I think Higbee's good.
Okay, you'd be fine with him as your first tight end?
Yeah.
Well, this person has 2 tight ends already, so I'd be shocked if they this early took a 3rd tight end. But okay, so we're going to grab Greg Dulcich. Okay, and at 16 picks away, we have a 1-4-6-1 build going on right now. Again, still with a hero QB and 0 RB build. We still have 1-4-6-1, which again I think puts us in a great spot. I mean, we could go 3-6-6-3, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I know people would say, oh, with Jalen Hurts, you don't have to do a 3rd quarterback. You don't, but, if he runs a lot, and I know people don't want to admit that puts, a quarterback at more risk, but if he gets injured, then, and I know you always hear people say, okay, well, if Jalen Hurts is injured, my team's dead. Right. If he's out for the year, the team's dead. But if he's out for 4 weeks, the team's not dead. So, you'd rather have 2 quarterbacks to buoy it to give a good team a chance to shot at playoffs. And then again, in playoffs, having 3 quarterbacks, and again, I keep talking about the Underdog Network articles, but they do put out a lot of great content. Talks about like 3 quarterbacks gives you 3 stacks to kind of ping pong you through the playoffs. Because let's be honest, even the best of the best quarterbacks don't always have a great week, or sometimes they get vultured by their running back. Who knows? Maybe Rashad Penny gets all the touchdowns one week in playoffs. Yeah. If he has them, great. We got that covered. And then we have another quarterback or 2 to help us get us through. So, okay, we're 8 picks away. What numbers are we coming up at? We're up at 153 and 160. So again, definitely don't have to do anything, really. Probably want to look at running back here. This isn't a range I love. What would you queue up at 153 and 160?
So a couple guys I really like there would be Tyler Algier, Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I like that.
And we did not get Dameon Pierce. So, Devin Singletary, if Pierce were to get injured, he's the guy. So those would be the 3 in that range.
I will say, I just want to see something, just looking at the board and game perspective. I would like to grab Kenny Pickett with pick 160 because I do not think he will be there at 177. So I think it's fine reaching for the correlation there when we have a lot of optionality. But I do think it's good to get a pick at 153 to get to complete our second stack. I'd like to get Kenny Pickett with the next pick, which will be right after the 6 picks later. But this pick coming up, I do think we get a 5th running back. Right now, it is Singletary and Jerome Ford on the board still with 1 pick left. I'll just leave that. I lean Ford. Who do you lean?
Yeah, I'd lean Ford also.
Yeah, again, better offense. I think he'll still get work. We have a lot of Nick Chubb, but I think he'll still get work. Could you see him in that like Kareem Hunt role? Like, could he get some pass down work even with Nick Chubb getting most of the rushing work?
Yeah, it probably won't be to the extent that Hunt did, but yeah, I mean, I think he could give you some usable weeks even if Chubb stays healthy, especially, it's like a fill-in bye week and, just a random, like, he scores 2 touchdowns because, Chubb needs a breather. I mean, we see that happen a couple times every year for teams. So I think he's talented enough, and it looks like that's his job to lose, that number 2 role. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. With this next pick, I'm going to grab our quarterback just because it correlates, and I just don't think he'll be there by the next pick because then it'll be 18 picks later. And as you can see, he's within a couple quarterbacks here. I know they probably won't go for a little bit, but I don't think he'd be there when we come back up. So I'm going to complete the stack here with Kenny Pickett. Okay. So we have, again, let's take a quick look at the board. Through 14 rounds with 4 picks left to go, we have, and I just want to see, we were up again 177, 184. So through 14 rounds, we have, 2 quarterback stacks, 5 running backs, 6 receivers, 1 tight end. So obviously with our last 4 picks, we definitely want to get 2 more tight ends, definitely want to get another running back. And then it's just a matter if, what we do with that last pick or 2, if we're getting the 3rd quarterback or not. Right, Steve?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Okay. So let's queue up some more running backs and tight ends since that needs to be the priority in the next couple picks. I mean, he's not going to still be there. I have a Sam Laporta problem. I can't stop drafting him. His competition is what, Brock Wright and get the other guy. Yeah. So and James just again, Mitchell. Yeah, James Mitchell and Brock Wright. Just high-powered offense. And I knew he would not be there. 10 picks away. Who else do you want to queue up as our second tight end? And our tight end is Dulcich with bye week 9. So we non-9 bye week. Because again, we did a whole show about that. Pay attention to your bye weeks. That's important. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, we can probably wait. I'd say we finish up running back for at least the first one because that's just a terrible range right there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look back to running back. In this type of build, would you do like an Elliott? I mean, he's going to land somewhere.
Yeah, I think.
And I'm actually comfortable. Sense. I'm really very comfortable with, even though we did a 0 RB build, I'm very comfortable with our running backs: Kenneth Walker, James Conner, AJ Dillon, Rashad Penny, and Jerome Ford. I mean, it's not like we have true handcuffs, Jerome Ford, but I mean, he could, like we said, still get a little work too. We're up in 4 picks. Okay, Elliott went. So who else do we want to keep?
Like Chase Brown or Spears could be interesting handcuff options. Because this is where you take a handcuff and hope it works out. Same with Gus Edwards,
I like Gus Edwards better. And I would say, so we're at 177, 184. I mean, okay, we're on the clock. So Edwards would probably still be there. So you don't, the tight ends did go. Did you, I mean, I don't love like reaching for Taysom Hill. I mean, and like you said, we could probably wait. So
Yeah.
I don't love these pure handcuffs. I mean, do we reach on like a Gus Edwards, or do you?
Well, I mean, there were reports that Spears is going to get some work this year, but we'll see.
Even with okay, I'll do it.
And maybe we get lucky and Derrick Henry gets traded like McCaffrey did last year, and D'Onta Foreman won people money because of that.
That is true. That could be actually a situation that could happen. That's definitely in the range of outcomes for sure. Okay, let's look at tight end again, because we don't need any receivers unless something in the last round fell to us. I mean, I know you and I both like Michael Mayer, the rookie from Vegas, or for the Raiders. Who else do you like in this range? Hayden Hurst, probably.
Yeah, he's fine, but that's about it.
I mean, that's honestly, why we definitely need
I like the very late tight ends.
Yeah, better. I know, I do too. Okay, well, coming up in 3, do you want to? If Michael Mayer. If Mayer's there, let's take Mayer, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's been falling for, I think, because people worried about the whole Jimmy Garoppolo injury thing, but
Jimmy's going to be, he's going to be fine by this. Isn't he fine by this? Supposed to be back by
he should.
Preseason?
He should.
Okay, so I'm going to grab Michael Mayer here. We've been high on him before the draft, after the draft, so love that pick. I don't understand why he's falling so much, to be quite honest. Okay, so we have 2 picks to go, and we got a very balanced 2-6-6-2 up in 15, and we will be up with our final 2 picks at pick 201 and 208. So, hey, one thing I'd say, if we wanted to, we could do this with one of our last picks, right?
I mean, honestly, I would go like Mac Jones ahead of him. You could do like Mac Jones and Hunter Henry, and
that's true.
Again, another.
I know. I was gonna say, you talk about the AFC play callers. You talked about Sean Payton. Talk about just the upgrade to the Patriots.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The Patriots are actually getting a play caller as their offensive coordinator again. I mean, last year was Matt Patricia. We saw how disastrous that was. You look at what Mac Jones did he was far better as a rookie. The offense was far better, that in 2021 than 2022, and that just doesn't make sense. Especially they actually added some last year with like Tyquan Thornton and Devontae Parker. So now they get Juju in there. Ramondre is even more established. So yeah, I mean, I think that offense could be pretty solid. And it's not going to be top 10, but if it's 17th, that's a massive jump for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, we're still 9 picks away. I mean, with this, the only, you probably at pick, I'm trying to just think it through order wise. 201, 208. Let's just look at the board really quick. You'd probably want to grab Mac Jones and then hope that Hunter Henry is there.
Yeah,
that's probably the move.
If Henry's not, you can get on Otten or Luke Musgrave or somebody like that. Like there's still going to be starters.
Do you really like Henry above some of these other, like above a Luke Musgrave? I know we both are bullish on him in the Green Bay.
I mean, Henry is like most tight ends can be very touchdown dependent, but 2 years ago he was like tight end 8 or 9 because he scored 10 touchdowns, and that's what we're looking for. Particularly in like those playoff weeks where if he is that game where he has 2 touchdowns, look what Tyler Higbee did last year in the playoffs, fantasy playoffs, by having that big 2 touchdown game on Christmas.
Yeah. Do you, when it's all said and done, who do you think will have a better season, all things considered? Because obviously Garoppolo has strong weapons in Vegas. Who do you think will have the better season? Honestly, he's projected slightly higher. Who do you think will have the better season?
Honestly, I think Mac Jones. I just think there's more upside there.
Okay.
And
what was his ranking his rookie season when they didn't have Matt Patricia ruining the offense?
Yeah, I'd have to look. I know I researched that, but I think he was like 19th or something like that.
Okay.
So for your quarterback 3, that's pretty good.
All right. I probably do like Garoppolo 1-for-1 over it, but if you really like Mac Jones in the bounce back season in that offense, do you want to take him here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as long as Hunter Henry is there, we will take him. If not, we'll just make a pivot to something, another tight end to balance out a 3-6-6-3 hero QB and 0 RB build, which again, still very, very happy with the RBs we ended up with because I think we did a 0 RB build in the right way. We didn't ignore it, till the 8th round, or we didn't just take one and then ignore it till like the 11th or 12th round. Like we made sure we had true starters, and that I really like. So
yeah.
Okay, we're up in 2 picks. Yeah, my backup would be Luke Musgrave, because obviously the other main New England tight end is Gesicki. It's basically Gesicki and Hunter Henry are the 2 main tight ends, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Hunter Henry is there, and we grab him. So again, we accomplished our 6-6-3. We'll talk it through after the draft ends. But we have Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, Kenneth Walker, James Conner, A.J. Dillon, Rashad Penny, Jerome Ford, Tajay Spears, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Michael Gallup, Greg Dulcich, Michael Mayer, Hunter Henry. Yeah, I think we really, really accomplished a very good 0 RB build. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's I think, like you said, it's the 0 RB teams that wait till like the 8th, 9th, 10th round to get their first running back. That just makes it really thin, particularly, if you're waiting till like the 10th round, because we need some things to go our way. Guys like, Rashard Penny to stay healthy. Guys like, Kenneth Walker to not get, lose too much of his work. But, I think there's a good case for our top 5 backs. And then Spears just gives you a nice lotto ticket where, something happens to Henry, if Henry gets traded, anything like that.
Boy, if Henry gets traded, that's a really nice, that's where it becomes a really nice spot. But, again, I know that's a big if. But
and again, going back to Donta Foreman 2 years ago when Henry missed, 7 games or whatever it was, Foreman had multiple big 100-yard games there. So we know, they're going to keep running. They don't have receivers. So
right.
If Henry misses any time, that is a great spot for a back to come in and, get an easy 100 yards.
Right. Yeah. And I know a lot of people would say, well, you got, all of our quarterbacks were correlated. I think it ended. Hold on, let me see if I can go back. I always forget how to do this. So I go back to drafts and then completed, right?
Yeah.
And is this? Nope, that's what I did.
You might need a refresh.
Let's try that. And then we'll look at it quickly and get out of here. There it is. Okay. So, yes. We still took 3 quarterbacks. I know a lot of people would say, why? You got Jalen Hurts. Well, the other 2 quarterbacks we took with, much, much later in the draft with Kenny Pickett, because we had, double stacked him with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, and then Mac Jones with our second to last pick. So, it's not like we're using a ton of draft capital. We're using late round picks, and it's kind of an A, insurance policy, if Hurts is injured. And B, then it just helps. Even if Hurts is perfectly healthy all season long, I really do believe, and I saw how it worked last season, how having 3 quarterback stacks can help you in the playoffs. Even the best of the best don't always have, spike smash weeks. And so, again, say, Rashad Penny has a week in the playoffs where he vultures the touchdowns and Hurts has a lower game. You then have 2 options to then get you through. Yeah. It is a thin needle that you have to thread when you have to be 1 of 16 and 1 of 16 in the quarterfinals and semifinals. And so there's no room for error there. And I think to have multiple outs, listen, when I draft Hurts and Mahomes and Josh Allen, and even Herbert and Burrow to a certain extent, there are plenty of times. On our last draft, we did a 2 quarterback draft with who was it? Herbert. Yeah, with Herbert. But there are play times I'm going to do 2 quarterbacks just because then the rest of the roster makes sense. But there are times that I just want, again, diversify in my portfolio, have builds even, with a hero quarterback. And then obviously when I don't have a hero quarterback, to have 3 quarterback stacks, because I really see the benefit of how that can help in playoffs. And all of our quarterbacks are correlated. Hurts with, and I love correlating with running back too. Hurts is correlated with Penny and AJ Brown. Obviously a double stack for Kenny Pickett with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, and then Mac Jones. Of course, we stacked with our last pick, Hunter Henry. So yeah, we waited on, tight ends, obviously, but I'm happy with Dulcich, Mayer, and Henry. And of course, doing the 0RB build allowed us to get stud receivers and AJ Brown, Ridley, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and then Michael Gallup. And you made a smart point of taking Michael Gallup, gave us the optionality to not feel like we had to take that 7th receiver. We had a 6th receiver we really trusted. So I think we just made smart decisions and, targeted a lot of top offenses, which is always a big thing for, I know, both of us. I'm really happy with it. Any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, no, one point I wanted to make about, we did reach a little for Hurts, but that's where you make it up by going late. Like if we took Hurts and then in the 10th round took another quarterback, then, part of the way we made up for reaching for Hurts is by using the 8th, 9th, 10th round, 11th round on other positions to strengthen those. And, I think that's key. And, one thing by going the way that we did with waiting on our second and third quarterbacks and our tight ends is we're still drafting starters at a time when, a lot of people are taking their 5th, 6th running backs and taking guys. A lot of other teams are going to have multiple guys like Tajay Spears and multiple like third receivers who might not work, or second receivers on really bad offenses. You look at our receiver group, excuse me, if you could go down to it. AJ Brown, Ridley, Allen, those should be 3 of the top offenses. I mean, sure, Steelers, we don't know, but I could see them, in the 15-ish range of offense. And then
I just wrote them about being an undervalued offense because look what we paid for it. We got, them as our 5th and 6th receiver, and we were able to get, Pickett in, I don't know, the 14th, 15th, something, 14th round, something like that.
So yeah, I think the fact that we got clear starters and mainly attached to really good offenses, or at least ascending offenses, is key. And sure, some of these like later round receivers might pan out. Maybe a Chase Claypool or some of these guys, but they're attached to some really bad offenses. It's going to be really thin for them to hit the outcomes that you're looking for. Where a guy like Michael Gallup, we saw a couple years ago at 1,000 yards, with the Cowboys.
I love the offenses we attached ourselves to in general, and especially our receivers. I'm really, honestly, really happy with our team. So any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I think this is, exactly what you should be looking for when you go 0 RB.
Yeah. No, especially on Underdog, and in general. And I think it was a fun exercise, and I'm really happy with the outcome of our team. So if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, be sure to use code FANSPEAK for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Deposit 100, get 100. That's $200 to use in your drafts this summer. Something I would definitely recommend. Obviously, again, be sure to like and subscribe on the way out. And again, check out our content on fanspeak.com. We are writing articles each and every week about best ball strategy, and we'll be doing so all summer long. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.